You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. As Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. Of course, the coronavirus pandemic showed up in the middle of spring break. Didn't phase a whole bunch of young people that act like that nobody can get it. And here was some video, of course, from Florida. I appreciate my Alpha brothers, but I'm just simply saying, first of all, that wasn't in Florida. That was actually from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. But all I'm saying is y'all was strolling, but you need to sit your ass down and not congregating as a group. And people don't understand the importance of social distance. Now, finally, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has decided to man up and issue an executive order calling for strict closures of beaches and businesses in Broward and Palm Beach counties. That's what you should have been doing before. And again, the people are sitting here saying, how are these closures, how is this shelter in place going to impact those who are homeless and in faith-based communities? Joining us right now is Reverend Shane Harris, founder of the People's Alliance for Justice. Reverend Harris, what's interesting is I've been seeing these stories of homeless folks in California taking over abandoned homes.
Yeah, no, it's a critical issue, Roland. I'm glad that you're dealing with this. Last night, the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, issued a stay-at-home order. But there are people who don't have a home. There are people who are unsheltered. And we've been raising to county officials here in San Diego and across the state that our homeless population should be screened. We've been calling for street screening teams and in some cases tested depending on the symptoms that they show. No, it's a real issue. And one of the dynamic things that we're seeing here in San Diego County is that county officials have partnered with motels and hotels to provide hotel rooms and motel rooms to those that are to our homeless population to be quarantined because obviously they've been out in the streets on a consistent level. And so this is really important and something that we're really pushing for in regard to our streets being screened and our homeless populations being quarantined through this whole process.
And so who's actually dealing with this issue?
Well, it really is a coordination of county government, state government. We don't think the federal government is doing anything about this on a federal level, but state and county government here in California are really partnering to try to partner with hotels and motels across the state to provide these rooms to our homeless population. And I believe that the state of California and our local county government, and I know particularly here in County of San Diego, what happened was that county government basically is funding these hotels to be able to provide this space to homeless folks out in the streets so that we can quarantine them for at least the next few weeks until this thing slows down.
What are you advising these cities and counties to do? I mean, because, look, we've been dealing with this homeless issue. We've seen it really rise up over the last 6 or 9 months. Cities have been talking about how much of a crisis it is, especially on the West Coast, where, of course, the cost of homes is exploding, places like San Francisco and L.A. What should be happening in cities and counties across the country?
Well, I think that I like the idea that of partnering with hotels and motels to provide a temporary space to our unsheltered populations. But I also think that what I mentioned is that there needs to be consistent screening in this whole crisis and public health outbreak with our homeless populations. You're not seeing people being screened. They're not social distancing. I had the chance to visit a shelter just a few days ago here in San Diego County, because obviously I'm not traveling. And one of the things that I'm very concerned about is that when I went to the shelter and I had my mask and my gloves and everything on, but there is a serious issue outside of the shelter, people not getting in, shelters are overcrowded, and this is why the hotels and motels are important, but we're calling on county and state officials to start screening the streets. There are people that need to be identified that are homeless, and they need to be screened for symptoms. If we're not screening them, then we're not testing them. And you know that can be a real large issue to this public health outbreak, our homeless and unsheltered populations, which could be carrying the virus and spreading it across the city, our cities, towns, and counties. Real concern to us that they're screened and then tested.
All right, then. Reverend Shane Harris, founder of the People's Alliance for Justice. We appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
This is what I've been saying. What this is exposing are the multiple facets, the gaps in this society. That's what this is exposing.
Absolutely. And when you talk about folks like the housing insecure, which like a lot of different kinds of people who are couch surfing, people who are maybe living in cars for a while, people in shelters in these different communities, they don't really have the ability to just go out and go to the doctor if they get a sniffle. So there are lots of concerns. You're also talking about people who may have other kinds of chronic health conditions, which will then make this virus all the more dangerous to those folks. So I think there's a lot to consider when you're talking about the housing insecure and even dealing with people's shame around not being able to provide a steady place for themselves to live, perhaps their children to live, and having to overcome that stigma so that we actually can do something to actually help people in a proactive way. But for sure, with the housing crisis we see, whether it be California or DC or New York, I mean, that's not going to go away. And long after this virus is done, we'll still have to be thinking more proactively about how we find people long-term and short-term solutions to their housing insecurity. And part of that is the cost of housing.
We have 500,000 people in this country, and that's the conservative number, who are homeless, who are housing insecure. Ben Carson, where have you been? You had the opportunity to make sure that we had affordable housing. You come from a situation like that when you were growing up. So when you took this job, you should have been doing everything that you can to make sure that we no longer have this housing situation that we have going on. Our homeless brothers and sisters also sometimes suffer from mental illness. So when we're talking about social distancing, when we're talking about this new set of stressors that the virus brings, you've got to be thinking about how you're going to help them to navigate that and to make sure that the capacity and the tools are in place to help them to understand what's going on and where the resources are to be able to help them. If you're not doing that, then you're creating additional gaps in the system.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment. All right, so a lot of y'all are always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Nope. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear. So we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, you know, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, unlike because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All right, so first of all, that graphic is way too small. So tomorrow we're going to run it right down here all across the screen. So it's RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, that goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club. Now back to your Roland Martin Unfiltered video. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.